the Christmas without lights that brightened an entire town. In the small, snowy town of Pine Hollow, Christmas was a spectacle. Every December, the streets lit up with dazzling displays of twinkling lights, and the grand Christmas tree in the town square sparkled like a beacon of joy. For decades, it had been a tradition that brought families together, creating memories under the soft glow of festive bulbs. But this year was different. Emma Thompson, the town's spirited 35-year-old librarian, stood in the empty square, staring at the towering, unlit tree. The town's beloved power plant, the only source of electricity, had been damaged in an unexpected storm just 2 weeks before Christmas. Without power, Pine Hollow was thrust into an unusual darkness. Children whispered in somber tones about a Christmas without lights. Business owners lamented their losses as tourists bypassed the town entirely. Emma couldn't bear to see Pine Hollow so lifeless. The lights were more than decorations, they were a symbol of hope and unity. That evening, Emma gathered her close friends: Sam, the town's handyman; Margaret, the retired teacher known for her fiery determination; and Liam, a single father and talented woodworker. "We can't let Christmas be forgotten," Emma declared. "There has to be another way to bring light back to Pine Hollow." The group brainstormed late into the night, candles flickering on the library's wooden table. Margaret suggested holding a fundraiser to repair the power plant, but the town's funds were already stretched thin. Sam proposed creating lanterns, but the scale seemed daunting. Just when the mood began to falter, Liam spoke up. "What if we don't just light up the tree? What if we light up Pine Hollow ourselves?" His idea was ambitious. Every household could contribute by crafting simple light sources: candles, oil lamps, and even reflecting mirrors to amplify natural light. It wouldn't be as radiant as electric bulbs, but it would be their own unique glow. The next day, Emma and her friends visited every home, explaining the plan. While many were skeptical, Emma's passion and the desperation to save their Christmas tradition sparked something in the townsfolk. By nightfall, a sense of excitement rippled through Pine Hollow. In the midst of this effort, a new mystery arose. Several townspeople reported hearing soft, melodic humming in the evenings, a sound they swore came from the direction of the forest. The humming seemed to come closer each night, and it wasn't long before rumors spread of a mysterious visitor, a lone figure seen wandering among the pines. Emma, intrigued and slightly unnerved, decided to investigate. Armed with a lantern, she ventured into the forest one crisp evening. As the snow crunched beneath her boots, she caught sight of a figure cloaked in white. "Who's there?" she called, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The figure turned slowly. It was an elderly woman with silvery hair that glinted in the moonlight. She smiled warmly. "I'm Alma," the woman said. "I've come to help bring back your light." Emma was stunned. Who was this mysterious stranger? And how did she know about Pine Hollow's plight? Before Emma could question further, Alma raised her hand, revealing a glowing crystal. "The forest holds secrets," she said cryptically, "and sometimes the darkest nights reveal the brightest lights." Emma watched in awe as the crystal illuminated the trees around them, casting an otherworldly glow. Alma placed the crystal in Emma's hand. "Use this wisely, and you'll see that the light you seek is not just in the electricity but in the hearts of those who call this town home." Emma hurried back to Pine Hollow, her mind brimming with questions and possibilities. With Alma's gift and the townsfolk's growing determination, hope began to flicker like the faintest star on a cloudy night. But the true test of their resolve was yet to come. As Emma presented Alma's glowing crystal to her friends, a sudden, fierce gust of wind extinguished every lantern in the town square. In the inky darkness, the humming returned, louder than before. What was Alma's true purpose, and would the town's light shine again? The humming swirled through the empty streets, rising and falling like an ancient melody carried by the wind. Emma clutched the glowing crystal tightly, its faint light the only thing piercing the thick darkness. Sam, Margaret, and Liam exchanged uneasy glances. "This is unsettling," Sam murmured, his usual bravado diminished by the eerie sound. But Emma's resolve was firm. "We can't give up. Alma entrusted this to us. Whatever's happening, this crystal might be the key to restoring more than just lights to Pine Hollow." The next morning, Emma and her friends gathered the townsfolk in the library to share Alma's cryptic message. Some were skeptical, others frightened by the mysterious occurrences. But many were inspired. "I think we should use it," said Liam, his voice steady. "If this crystal really can help, then we owe it to Pine Hollow to try." Together they devised a plan. The townspeople would continue crafting their homemade light sources while Emma and her friends sought to unlock the crystal's full potential. Alma's enigmatic words about the forest holding secrets lingered in Emma's mind, and she resolved to return to the woods. That evening, Pine Hollow began to transform. Families hung lanterns from porches and trees, their flickering flames creating a patchwork of warm, golden light. Mirrors were positioned to reflect the glow across the snow-covered streets, giving the illusion of scattered stars. The sight rekindled a spark of hope in the community. Emma, Sam, and Liam set out for the forest, leaving Margaret to oversee the preparations in town. Snow fell softly around them, and the crystal in Emma's hand pulsed faintly as if guiding them. The humming returned, growing louder as they ventured deeper into the woods. "Do you hear that?" Sam whispered. Emma nodded. "It's coming from up ahead." They emerged into a clearing, where an ancient stone altar stood surrounded by towering pines. The air seemed to hum with energy, and the crystal in Emma's hand grew brighter. "This has to be it," Liam said, awestruck. As Emma approached the altar, Alma appeared, her white cloak blending with the snow. "You've brought the light to the people," she said, her voice resonant and melodic. "Now let the people bring their light to this place." "What do you mean?" Emma asked, her breath visible in the chilly air. "The crystal's power comes from unity," Alma explained. "The light you've created in Pine Hollow is only the beginning. Bring the town here, to this sacred place, and the true brilliance of the season will be revealed." The three hurried back to the town and shared Alma's instructions. Though the idea of venturing into the forest at night filled some with trepidation, the townspeople's growing trust in Emma, combined with their desperation for a restored Christmas, convinced them. The procession through the woods was magical. Families carried lanterns, torches, and mirrors, their combined light forming a glowing river that wound through the snow-laden trees. As they reached the clearing, the humming grew louder, now harmonious and almost jubilant. Alma stood by the altar, her presence both calming and commanding. She gestured for the townspeople to surround the stone. "Place your lights here," she instructed, her voice echoing in the stillness. One by one, families placed their lanterns and mirrors on the altar. As they did, the crystal in Emma's hand flared, and a brilliant light shot skyward, illuminating the entire forest. It was as though the stars themselves had descended to earth, bathing Pine Hollow in a celestial glow. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then the light dimmed slightly, becoming a soft, steady radiance that spread across the town. As Pine Hollow came into view, the streets, homes, and the grand Christmas tree were all alight, not with electricity, but with a warm, ethereal glow that seemed to emanate from the very soul of the town. The townsfolk cheered, their voices carrying through the night air. But just as joy swept through the crowd, a child's voice broke the jubilation. "Where's Alma?" Emma turned, but the mysterious woman was gone. In her place, a single word was carved into the stone altar: believe. Revelation and cliffhanger. The town was basking in its newfound light, but Emma's mind raced with questions. Who was Alma? Was she simply a kind stranger or something more? As the townspeople celebrated, a faint shimmering figure appeared on the edge of the clearing, watching silently before vanishing into the shadows. As the shimmer vanished into the forest, Emma felt a chill unrelated to the winter air. Her heart pounded, not from fear, but from a growing sense that this was no ordinary Christmas miracle. Alma's appearance, the crystal's power, and the mysterious humming, it all felt interconnected, yet shrouded in layers of mystery. Back in Pine Hollow, the town basked in its newfound glow. Children laughed, couples strolled under the celestial light, and the grand Christmas tree stood proudly, illuminated by the ethereal radiance. For the first time in weeks, Pine Hollow felt alive again. But Emma's unease lingered. Later that night, she called a meeting with Sam, Liam, and Margaret at the library. She said the light came from unity, Emma began, placing the crystal on the table. "But I think there's more to this." Alma disappeared before explaining everything. "And that figure we saw?" Margaret, ever pragmatic, adjusted her glasses. "If the light depends on unity, then perhaps Alma was testing us, seeing if we could come together as a community. But why the secrecy?" Sam leaned back in his chair, rubbing his chin. "Maybe she's protecting something, or someone. That humming wasn't natural. And neither is this crystal." Liam, usually quiet, spoke up. "What if Alma isn't the only one in the forest? That figure we saw, it didn't seem friendly." The group exchanged uneasy glances. Whatever the truth, they all agreed, they needed answers. The next day, Emma returned to the altar alone, determined to uncover more about Alma and the crystal's origins. Snow blanketed the forest, muffling her steps. As she approached the clearing, she noticed faint footprints leading away from the altar, deeper into the woods. She followed them, her lantern casting long shadows among the trees. After an hour of trekking, she stumbled upon an abandoned cabin, its roof sagging under the weight of snow. The footprints ended at the door. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of pine and something unfamiliar, like burnt metal. The walls were covered in carvings of constellations, and in the center of the room stood a pedestal, empty but clearly meant to hold something. Emma's breath caught. The carvings matched the patterns that had appeared on the crystal when it lit up. "You shouldn't have come here." Emma spun around, her lantern trembling in her grasp. In the doorway stood a man, cloaked in dark fur, his face partially hidden by a hood. His voice was deep, but his tone wasn't threatening, just firm. "Who are you?" Emma demanded, mustering her courage. The man stepped inside, his piercing blue eyes locking onto hers. "I'm Elias," he said. "And I'm here to warn you. The crystal isn't just a source of light, it's a beacon. Using it risks drawing attention to this place. Attention we don't want." Emma's mind raced. Attention from who? Elias hesitated, then sighed. "There are forces in this world that thrive in darkness. Alma's light keeps them at bay, but if the beacon shines too brightly, it might awaken what lies hidden." The weight of his words pressed down on Emma. "Alma gave us the crystal to save Pine Hollow. She trusted us." "She did," Elias admitted, "but that trust comes with responsibility. If you use the crystal carelessly, you could put your entire town in danger." Before Emma could respond, the humming began again, louder and more ominous than before. Elias's eyes widened. "They found us. We need to leave now. A fight for the light." Elias and Emma raced back to Pine Hollow, the humming growing louder with every step. As they reached the edge of the town, they saw faint, shadowy figures lurking at the forest's edge. Their shapes shifted and writhed like smoke trying to take form. "What are those?" Emma whispered, her voice trembling. "Shades," Elias replied grimly. "They're drawn to the crystal's power. If they reach the altar, they'll extinguish the light completely, and take whatever they can in the process." Emma felt a surge of determination. She wouldn't let Pine Hollow fall into darkness again. Gathering the townsfolk, she explained the situation, omitting the most frightening details to avoid panic. Together they formed a plan to protect the altar. Under Elias's guidance, they created a barrier of light using their lanterns and mirrors, encircling the town. Children carried small, glowing orbs, and the adults stood guard at the edges of the clearing. Emma placed the crystal back on the altar, where it pulsed with a soft, reassuring glow. The humming reached a crescendo and the shades surged forward. They recoiled at the light but pressed on, their forms twisting in agitation. The townsfolk held their ground, their combined light creating a wall of brilliance. Elias stepped forward, chanting words in a language Emma didn't recognize. The crystal flared brightly, sending beams of light shooting into the forest. The shades shrieked and dissolved into the shadows, retreating back into the darkness. As the last of the shades vanished, silence fell over the clearing. The townsfolk erupted into cheers, their voices ringing out like bells. But Emma's gaze lingered on Elias, who looked both relieved and deeply troubled. As the celebration died down, Elias pulled Emma aside. "The shades won't stay away forever," he warned. "The crystal's light is powerful, but it's also a signal. Alma's gift saved your town, but it might also bring a greater danger. You'll need to decide, keep the light or extinguish it forever." Emma's heart sank. Could she really ask Pine Hollow to sacrifice their newfound light? And what other secrets did Alma's gift hold? The celebration in Pine Hollow continued well into the night, but Emma couldn't join in the revelry. Elias's warning haunted her. She stood at the edge of the clearing, staring at the glowing crystal on the altar. The choice before her felt impossibly heavy. If the crystal remained, the shades might return, stronger and more numerous. But extinguishing it would plunge Pine Hollow back into darkness, erasing the hope that had rekindled their spirits. She needed answers, and fast. Elias joined her, his expression somber. "There might be another way," he said, his voice low. Emma turned to him, desperate. "What do you mean?" "The crystal's light doesn't belong to this world alone," Elias explained. "It bridges realms. If you conceal the connection, the light will remain here, safe, but the shades won't be able to follow." "How do we do that?" Emma asked. Elias hesitated, then pointed to the altar. "Alma chose you because your heart is tied to this town. The seal requires a piece of your essence, your memories, your emotions. It's a sacrifice, Emma. You might lose something precious." Emma felt a pang of fear. What would she lose? Her happiest moments? Her love for Pine Hollow? but she quickly realized the greater fear was losing everything they'd worked for. "I'll do it," she said, her voice steady. The ritual begins. Elias instructed the townsfolk to gather at the altar. As they formed a circle, he explained the ritual. Each person would add their light, whether a lantern, mirror, or candle, to the altar, symbolizing their unity. Emma would then place her hands on the crystal and focus on her memories of Pine Hollow, offering a part of herself to seal the connection. The townspeople approached the altar one by one, placing their lights in a growing tower of brilliance. As the last lantern was added, the crystal flared, its glow now dazzling. Emma stepped forward, her heart racing. She placed her hands on the crystal, and a surge of warmth coursed through her. Images flooded her mind, decorating the library with garlands, laughing with friends at the cafe, the first snowfall of every December. These moments filled her with joy, but also with a bittersweet pang as she realized what she was about to lose. "Focus on what binds you to this place," Elias said gently. Emma thought of the townsfolk, their resilience, their kindness, their unwavering belief in each other. She poured these feelings into the crystal, and a brilliant light enveloped the clearing. The seal is forged. The light grew so intense that Emma had to close her eyes. When it finally dimmed, she opened them to see the crystal glowing steadily, its brilliance contained within. The shades were gone, and the forest hummed with a quiet, peaceful energy. Elias smiled faintly. "You did it. The connection is sealed. Pine Hollow's light is safe." But Emma felt different. As the townsfolk cheered and embraced, she realized something was missing. The memories she'd poured into the crystal, small, cherished moments of joy, were now faint and distant, like a dream half remembered. Margaret approached, concern in her eyes. "Emma? Are you all right?" Emma smiled, though it didn't quite reach her eyes. "I'm fine. Just tired." Elias stepped forward. "The sacrifice was great, but Pine Hollow will thrive because of you." As the crowd dispersed, Emma stood by the altar, staring at the glowing crystal. Alma's word, "believe," was still etched into the stone, a reminder of the choice she had made. The town's new light. Over the following weeks, Pine Hollow transformed. The light from the crystal spread throughout the town, imbuing it with a soft, perpetual glow. The people embraced their new tradition, crafting unique lanterns and decorations to honor the unity that had saved them. Emma, though quieter than before, found solace in the joy of others. She couldn't recall every detail of the memories she had lost, but she knew they had been worth the sacrifice. One snowy evening, as she walked through the glowing streets, a familiar figure appeared at the edge of the square. Alma, cloaked in white, smiled at her. "You've done well," Alma said. "The light is safe and so is Pine Hollow. But remember, Emma, light is not just what you see. It's what you carry in your heart." Emma blinked and Alma was gone, a reflection of hope. As the years passed, Pine Hollow became known as the town of eternal light, a place where Christmas was more than a season. It was a symbol of unity and hope. Visitors came from far and wide to witness the glow, but only the townsfolk knew its true story. And Emma? She remained the quiet heart of the town, her presence a reminder that sometimes, the greatest gifts require the greatest sacrifices. Final line, as the soft light of the crystal bathed Pine Hollow, a new word appeared on the altar, etched beneath believe. It read simply, "Shine. Transform your Christmas into an unforgettable experience." How about celebrating the most magical Christmas ever, creating moments that your family will cherish forever? We have exactly what you need to make your holiday extraordinary. Perfect Christmas Dinner ebook. Discover amazing and practical recipes, along with tips for setting up an elegant table. Impress your family with a dinner full of flavor and style. 400 Christmas Cookie Recipes ebook. Bring sweetness and fun to your holiday. Bake delightful cookies that will make your table beautiful and your loved ones happy. Christmas Soundtrack Collection. Add the perfect finishing touch with 21 exclusive tracks to set the mood for a magical and emotional celebration. Click the link pinned in the comments and get these incredible tools to make your Christmas truly special. And if you enjoyed this emotional story, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated on upcoming videos.